2, 1, go. Frank Chise, what's going on? You're listening to episode 6 of the 4th season of Let's Be Frank podcast. As always, I am Frank Lopez alongside my one and only co-host, Mr. Frank Martinez, bringing you the Dodgers spring training goodies. Frank, what's up? How you doing, man?
Doing very well, and enjoying the fact that the Dodgers are undefeated. It's always good to say.
Yeah, I guess it counts as undefeated, huh? Because
Yeah,
they haven't had one
defeat.
entire defeat. Yeah,
Correct.
I guess. That said, there's a little bit of that to get into, right? Into the games, into what we've seen. We got some mailbag, pretty heavy mailbag today, huh?
Yeah, it's a good one.
And so we appreciate that from everybody. And man, it's just nice to watch some baseball, even if it's 7-inning games. How do you feel about the 7-inning game thing?
You know, I didn't know what this rollover the inning thing. My son, it's usually my son asking me questions, and this time I was asking him.
Right. And he knew what it was?
Yeah. He's like, oh, it's because of because he had seen the other game or whatever, and I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, which I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? To just stop the innings. We used to do that, like I remember in like winter ball and stuff, like
Yeah.
when we played, and I mean, it's really just to get guys work. You don't want to get a guy that's not stretched out to pitch a 45 pitch inning. Kind of want to schedule it out a little bit, but yeah, I mean, we've seen a few different guys pitch. There was one game, it was like the Bauer game, right? It was like Bauer, Kenley, like just the lineup of pitchers that day was exciting to watch. I think it was Monday. It was my day off, which was nice. I got to watch the whole thing. But I mean, the boys look pretty good, man. They do, and I don't know. It's just nice to watch baseball again, right?
Yeah. After everything, just seeing baseball. There's fans in the stands. It's not packed houses yet, but little by little, inching toward that. We'll take what we could get at this point, obviously, and
Yeah.
So all of that, and it's good to, as you said, we'll get into, but seeing some of the guys and some of the names we've known, some of the names we've heard of but haven't seen, and just witnessing it all. It's really cool.
Yeah. I think we have a question about like a standout player or something, right? In the mailbag, if you want to.
Yeah, that's one of our Mount Rushmore members. So it's a good question, and thank you for the question, Daniel. It's at Dan Kalbacher on Twitter, and he says, anyone during the first few spring training games stand out to you? Looking more along the lines of a player not on the roster last year.
All right, so players not on the roster last year. Well, this guy wasn't on the roster the entire season last year, and I'm gonna mention him because I know last year we kind of gave people a little bit of shit about kind of jumping the gun and getting excited about this player like really, really early, and just us not feeling that we're giving certain guys the opportunity to really develop, and that's Zach McKinstry. It's looking more and more like there's going to be a spot on this team for him, especially with Kike Hernandez leaving, and we may or may not have to plug Chris Taylor kind of more into a permanent role somewhere, and we kind of just need that Swiss Army knife that's just going to be versatile and give us at bats from different positions on the field. So, but to me, man, like just eyeball test, he looks like he's fully cooked, man. He looks like he's ready to go. He's really professional at bats. Just defensively looks like he belongs, and he's had a few hits to show for it too. So, he got a little bit of run in center field there, and that's a guy that we talked about it last week or the week before. Like we're gonna have to depend on some guys that are kind of moving up the ranks in the system, and that's gonna be one of them, Zach McKinstry. So. I don't want people to think that I'm not on the Zach McKinstry train. I am, but even I know he had a hot spring training last season, but just from what I can see with my eyes, man, like he just looks a little bit more like a big leaguer, man. That's just kind of the most simple way to put it. I mean, obviously, like I said, he has some hits to show for it. So I would say that guy, even though he was on the roster last year, technically. for a little bit there. But um, I don't know. Is there anybody that kind of stood out to you a little bit, Frank?
Yeah, I would say, and today was the day he pitched. Dennis Santana for me, just because he was kind of highly touted for us. He came up, remember, he get that triple, I think, in his debut or very close to his
Yeah,
debut in Colorado, and
yeah.
um,
Followed everybody on Twitter.
yeah, very fan friendly. Yeah, exactly. Follow me, followed us. But then the injuries and whatnot. So
Yeah.
I'm really, I was excited to see him do well today,
Hmm.
just more from a stuff perspective and
Yeah.
how he looked,
Yeah.
because he can be a dark horse if somebody falters, if a Gonzalez or a May or someone is just having a slow start to a season, something along those lines. He can be a wild card that if he's on can be an interesting piece for the team. So I guess that's someone that I would say.
Yeah, and he's still really young too. I forget how old he is. I
I
want to
think
say
he's
he's like
24.
yeah,
Yeah.
24. And so like there's time too, where even if we're super stacked this season, it still could be a guy in the future there. Yeah, that's a really good one. It actually is one that impressed me too. Just I try really hard not to look at any types of numbers in spring training. Like
Right.
you know, um, and it's this time of the year is when I trust my eyes the most. Uh, just looking at guys to see how ready they are, and yeah, his stuff had life to it, man. His specifically, I think he has like a two seamer type fastball. Had a little bit of late life to it. I remember when he came up. I don't know, just from my scouting, I guess. It just didn't seem like he was getting extended on every single pitch. Like a lot of his breaking balls were kind of backing up on him.
Yeah.
Um, and that's definitely not the case from what we've seen so far in this first couple outings here, where no, like he's everything out of his hand looks like a fastball, and it's kind of just breaking one way or the other when it's getting closer to the plate. So that's a really good one. It's a really good one, and yeah, he's gonna get some innings at some point through to this, in this season. So um, it's looking more and more like he's gonna be ready.
Yeah. So that's a good question. What about you, Dan? I'd be interested in hearing what he'd have to say about that same topic. So speaking of pitching, and we're talking about innings, I'm going to throw in our second question from a Mount Rushmore member, and that's from John at Will Loves Dodger. And the question is about Brusdar Graterol. And so he's asking, can Brusdar's perceived velocity, which is slower compared to his actual velocity, can it be improved if he works on extending his stride more? Also, is this something that can be easily fixed or something more difficult to fix?
Yeah, so that perceived velocity, he kind of did explain it, right? Just kind of like how fast it seems to the hitter versus how fast the radar gun is clocking it at.
Right.
And we've seen him hit 100, 101, 102 a few times. I think he had the most pitches or like over 100 miles an hour last year, something like that. But he wasn't a high strikeout guy, right? You would think like that with that velocity. But we really see that he has a pretty easy delivery, right? It looks like like an easy 100. That's what it looks like, right? The way he throws the ball.
Right.
Um, but guess what? It looks easy to us. It's going to look easy to the hitter too. They're going to be able to react. Um, what besides the fact that he threw high 90s, what really helped Randy Johnson in his career was the fact that when he let go of the ball, it seemed like he was already on top of the hitter, right?
Yeah.
And it gave him like that, less and less chance to react. Uh, a guy that I always reference when it comes to this is also Tim Lincecum. Small guy, right? And in theory, your stride should be about your height, right? But his stride was like way beyond what his height is, like if you were to be laying on the ground. And that's something that he would knowingly do. He would work on his stride, and you have those like funky like Tim Lincecum pictures where his like legs are like super super extended, and he's not a big guy, but that's how he was able to get hitters out, right? I mean, that's how he was able to create that deception. So, with Brusdar Graterol already being able to throw 100 miles an hour, if you add a little bit more deception, right, or less reaction time, it's on the radar gun. It might not show as faster, to be 100% honest, right? But it would be way more effective. Now, here's the thing: when you do that, right, you get more extension, right? Those are different muscles that have to be strong as well,
Right.
right? If you're not extending as much, your back, I guess you could say, the back muscles that you have aren't as important. But when you get all the way extended, yeah, those do become more important. So, you know, the Dodgers training staff has a lot more information than I do, right? So they can tell him exactly what he needs to do and so forth if that's something they really want to get into. But can it help him? Yeah, absolutely. It can help anyone, right? But with the guy like him, even more so. And that's where really good pitchers like could continue to get better, is little details like that. So I actually do really appreciate him pointing that out there, because you know how I can nerd out on pitching sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of defer to you on that, the mechanics and everything. Yeah. So as far as, is it easily fixed or more difficult? I think it's just that would kind of depend on every single pitcher and how much, you have to tweak versus actual reconstruct, when you're talking about mechanics, if it's a tweak, that's something that you can probably, more quickly adjust or modify than if it's, something that entails a lot more work. So it's just going to come down to, like you said, the information that they all have and what they try and implement with something along those lines.
Right. And you wouldn't want to implement something that, like I said, if he's not built up to do it, or like if his body just isn't some honestly, dude, like sometimes certain people's body types aren't conducive to certain things too. Like, do you think, do you think Brusdar Graterol can pitch with Tim Lincecum's delivery? No, like that's not a thing. Right. But if they could really maximize what he can do, you know, with the naked eye, it might be something that's not that noticeable, but you'll notice more swings and misses in that regard, right? Especially like just with the angles that we get on TV and stuff. It's hard to see that type of thing a lot of the time, but yeah, now I'm really interested in that. I'm gonna be looking at his delivery pretty closely there, because talk about a guy with a high ceiling. I mean, Brusdar Graterol, opened a lot of eyes last year, man. He really did. And mainly with his velocity, but just to know that he could still get better is crazy,
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people have anointed him the closer of the future, and that certainly seems like it's a real possibility. But
yeah,
whatever that role he ends up taking, I think it's going to be an important one. And the improvements are going to be part of that whole process. So, yeah, good question, Dan. Anytime you can get Frank to nerd out, I think it's always welcome. You know what? Since we're on a roll here with our Mount Rushmore guys, this is the first time this season we've had all three chime in. And by the way, we have a fourth slot open that we just still haven't.
No, man, we're leaving it as a cliffhanger.
Yeah. There's a fourth opening to complete our Mount Rushmore.
Franchise Mount Rushmore. Yeah.
Franchise Mount Rushmore. But the third member here, and this is in no order, but just the third question from one of the members. No particular order. And this is Steve in Riverside. First time chiming in season 4 here. Thank you, Theo Steve. We appreciate that. Been waiting for you to show up. He says this: do you guys find it amusing how most of the players have come out publicly and said Bauer is a good teammate, as opposed to how couch GMs claimed he would be a clubhouse cancer and a disruption?
Amusing, yeah. Like, I like that he asked, is it amusing? It is amusing. It's not surprising though.
No,
not at all. It's easy to see what somebody does on the surface and just kind of typecast them, right? Tell everybody else what that person is based off of the little information that you have. But honestly, all signs point to Trevor Bauer just being a good teammate throughout his career, and it really just comes from him being himself, man. That's really what it is. Like, believe it or not, people appreciate that. Like, people appreciate somebody that's not gonna tiptoe around certain things. But more importantly, like, some of the best pitchers in the American League are pitchers that he actually worked with. Like, you know what I mean? Guys like Shane Bieber right now. Um, you know, Mike Clevenger was one of those guys. I know he's in the National League now and he's injured, but um, guys that took significant strides in the career because Trevor Bauer honestly took the time to introduce a couple things to them. And, you know, I'm going to give the credit to the pitchers that made their own career, um, their own strides in their own careers. But if you think Trevor Bauer didn't have something to do with that, you've got it twisted, man. And, you know, he has all this content out on YouTube, on his Momentum channel, or on his personal channel, where he's interviewed different players and stuff. One of the interviews that he did was a Jason Kipnis interview. And I really enjoyed it because those are two guys that, you know, won an American League championship together, played two entirely different positions, right? A lot of times pitching staffs and you know, position players are kind of like two different teams, more so like bullpen and everybody else. But even then, there's like a little bit of a divide there that could easily be a divide there. But just the dynamic that they had was kind of refreshing because it wasn't this thing where they were like trying to even be nice to each other, because they weren't. They were kind of clowning on each other. But yeah, I mean, ultimately he did appreciate him as a teammate. And also look at, like, he played with Yasiel Puig for what? Like, did he play with him at all?
You're talking about Bauer?
Yeah, he did, right?
I don't know if, yeah, I would think so, because he didn't go to the Reds till the beginning of last season, right? Or the end of
I don't know.
the
I don't know if
previous
there's any
season.
overlap there.
It's a good question. Yeah.
I think it was you know what? I think it was the same trade deadline they got dealt to, but whatever. Regardless, but you know, he does look out for guys around the league. And you know, now they both share an agent, is what I was trying to get to. Which could be a really good thing for Yasiel. So I don't know, man. It doesn't surprise me at all. It is amusing just to see people still try to continue to like validate their own points, even though everything points against it, you know. But everybody said, I mean, like Clayton Kershaw himself said, "Oh, we're gonna let Trevor be Trevor," right? Yeah, Dave Roberts pretty much confirmed that, you know, been a good teammate. Like, and obviously it's early, you know, but I'm just not surprised at all. Really, I mean, it's just he's a professional. I mean, that's just, you know, you don't get this far by, you know, you don't get this far and make the improvements that he's made throughout his career without, you know, being a certain type of teammate. I don't think so. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, definitely amusing. You know, that's just people would run with the narrative, but that's just the state of society today, right? And on one side or the other, there's just narrative driven. What you hear, you just regurgitate, repeat. And if you exist within an echo chamber, you never hear any of, you know, the opposing views and arguments on the topic or whatever, then you're just going to be stuck there, and you're going to be convinced of yourself that it's fact and truth, and without any opposition to that particular view. So that's the case, it seems like, for a lot of people with Trevor Bauer. There's that narrative out there: poor teammate, cancerous, you know, presence, and all that kind of stuff. And just, you know, the reality seems to be the complete opposite of that. And thus far, that's what all the Dodger, you know, brass are saying. Dave Roberts, other teammates. Andrew Freeman was on, you know, with Jeff Passan. I don't know if you heard that interview yet. And he made mention of the fact that he had, yes, they did actually, in fact, speak to, he didn't say who, but a few of the teammates. And they were all like, yeah, let's go, let's do this.
Yeah, man.
So
why wouldn't they want him, you know? Yeah, like I said, like, look, you can find, with the internet, man, you could find something to support any opinion, stance, take. You know what I mean? There's so much stuff out there, you know? It reminds me of like when the Astros were going through their, you know, cheating scandal, when that came to light. All these Astros fans were sending me links to like the one article.
Oh, the Brewers
saying like, oh, it almost seemed like the Dodgers kind of knew it was coming. You know, like the one freaking article that's going to support, you know, like, come on, man, you could find something anywhere. right? And people just create their own little echo chambers, right? And they do because you disagree with them and they block you, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think their timeline looks like? What do you think their mentions looks like? It's just validation for whatever they want to say, right? Um, and we see that in just so many different examples of it. But so having Trevor Bauer obviously you know magnify some of these types of things. But it was nice to see him pitch. It was nice to see him pitch well, to remind people this is why we got him here. We didn't get him here for all that other stuff.
All that other stuff. Yeah.
Come on, dude. Now this is what I care about, right? He threw a few good curveballs. I think the first 3 or 4 pitches was getting away from him, and then after that, he just became Trevor Bauer. So that's what I'm excited about. I don't know about anybody else. I'm excited about the actual baseball part of it, right? That's what we've gotten into before.
Yeah, and I love everyone. I've seen it a lot of the people pointing out the reason why he chose the Dodgers. People talk a lot about coming home, homecoming, and he keeps reiterating the fact that didn't really have a lot to do with it. Location was just a byproduct of it all. But he mentioned heavily the way that the scouting department and the analytics and the coaching staff and the training staff and how everyone is just integrated all together, how it's just kind of seamless and there isn't this there aren't any gaps in between all the different departments that go into operating a ball club, and how that was the most impressive thing to him, which will lend itself to think that that's obviously not the case everywhere else. There's obviously a lot of places that isn't the case.
Yep.
But we know that here in LA, it very much is. And that's always getting better,
Mm-hmm.
And so when you consider that and you think like a player of his caliber, that was one of the major deciding factors for him to join this team at this time in the prime of his career, man, that just ought to excite you because you see the development and the proof of how effective and how elite really the development is. And so he can bring just that much more to the table, to the franchise.
Yeah.
As a whole.
He didn't come to LA to really affect anything too much in one way or another. You know what I mean? He came because he's obviously going to introduce his ideas and he said he wanted to work in a partnership, but he wanted to come in because he wanted to go into a situation where things were good. You know what I mean? Like why would he want to come in and affect anything negatively? You know what I mean? That's not why he came to LA, right? First and foremost, the compensation made sense, obviously. But what the Mets were offering him was, comparable. But it's what the money spoke to, right? The money spoke to hey, we believe in you. And, we believe basically the trajectory of your career that the next 2 to 3 years are going to be very, very good. And that's happened because the way he's trained, right? The way he's really developed himself and just used information. And when it comes to information, like you said, the Dodgers are just known to be the best at really getting information and, making it produce on the field where it matters most. So, yeah. So, that's our Trevor Bauer bit for the week.
It's probably going to be
the Bauer hour.
The Bauer. Right. You mentioned Yasiel Puig, and you mentioned him and Bauer sharing an agent, and Yasiel Puig's still unemployed. Surprisingly, I know there was this past week there was some Puig to LA rumors just because Rachel Luba was here in LA or something like that, taking a meeting or.
So
I don't know.
Everybody lives in LA.
Yeah, I mean, did I get that? Yeah. But you know what? I was thinking about it, and I don't even know, to be honest with you, what their outfield situation exactly is like. But man, wouldn't it be something if we went to the Padres?
Ooh, okay. So they got Trent Grisham out there, right? Still Padre.
Will Myers, he's in the infield now, right? Or
he plays for no, he's playing outfield. He's playing.
Oh, okay. Hosmer's at first.
At first, yeah. Last year was a little different because there was DH, so things might move around. But who else? What was on that team? Look, I mean, I am of the belief that him not being employed does expose like a hole in the system of
Yes.
free agency. And I did tweet that, and people responded, "Well, his war the last few years is blah 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 blah." There's people getting invited to big league camps with negative war. You know what I mean? Like that's not it. What it is teams are just not interested in making the move and always making the move that's going to help them win. Right? There are other things, too many things ahead of that on the list of priorities for a lot of teams.
Right.
And I think he's a fit on a lot of teams, right? Are the Padres one of them? Calls for an interesting story, right? Definitely. But yeah, there's teams out there for that guy, and a few other guys that haven't signed as well, right? I know there's a question actually about one of the guys that hasn't signed. Mailbag question, right? About a guy that used to be a Dodger.
I don't know. Is there? Oh yes, there is. We'll just throw that in. I just wanted to interject that somewhere. I thought that might have been the place. Puig to the Padres would, I think, the storyline, heat up that budding rivalry a little more. I mean, I think, with Tatis and Machado and some of the other guys there, like, he probably fit in.
My gosh.
I mean, just the villain role. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my god, yeah.
So it'd be something.
I would think that him and Machado probably have some good rapport. I would think, right? Because Machado was a Dodger at kind of Puig's best time as a Dodger, as far as like a point of like maturity and even production, where it all kind of came together for him. That's when Machado was there. So,
and I would think him and Tatis would probably hit it off pretty well, being in the same clubhouse.
Yeah. Hey man, that's actually interesting. But I don't know. That that move would be just like the Padres would be making that move, like in just it'd be basically a move to just get a reaction out of the Dodgers.
Yeah, to poke the bear, right?
Yeah, because I mean it's.
And then even from like the agent standpoint, Rachel Lou playing both sides of that. You know what I mean? With Bauer and Puig,
both sides of the rivalry. That's true.
I don't know. I think that'd be super interesting. But speaking of right fielders, former Dodger right fielders, yes, our friend Clint Pasillas, that's at Real FRG. You know him from the Blue Heaven podcast.
Oh, I didn't realize I'm wearing that.
And you're wearing the friend of the show T-shirt. Interesting. So he asked this: who do you think is the more complete baseball player right now? Okay, 2021 at this moment. Josh Thongboy Reddick. Of course, he's referencing the infamous photo after the Dodgers won the division title, or I think it was the division title, right? Or a wild card round, or I don't know.
Right.
Or Francisco Chico Herrera.
Look, all I got to say is one of those guys is employed by a big league team right now, and the other one isn't. So, I mean, hats off to my guy Chico.
I'll take his arm.
Yeah, because the two of the biggest images I have of either of those guys is one of them is Chico throwing out a runner at second, and then Josh Reddick failing to throw out Logan Forsythe at home plate in Game 2 of the 2017 World Series when Kike Hernandez tied it in extra innings. So, I don't know. I think Chico's in the lead, man.
I mean, just by default, he has a job.
He's getting a big league paycheck right now, dude. That's what it is.
He has an MLB job.
Yes. He's providing value to a Major League Baseball team, and just Josh Reddick isn't.
And I can't tell you the last time Reddick actually did.
Speaking of negative war.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I have no idea what Josh Reddick's war is.
I don't know what his war is.
But thanks for the question, Clint.
Yeah, appreciate that. All right. Back to the Padres. I'm gonna get in Workman's question here. I hate Workman. Self-hater there, And he asked this. Worky Ball Game is his current name on Twitter. He
He was
says,
working mac and cheese earlier today, by the way.
"Oh, so but he didn't block us though."
No, he didn't block us. I don't know. It's the he's got a thicker layer on top of that mac and cheese.
Oh
Right?
yeah, that crust,
Yeah.
right? The crumble. Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so he says, can a 16-year-old with 50 burners, of course, he's saying burner Twitter accounts,
Yeah.
can a 16-year-old with 50 burners really be considered a fan base, quote unquote? Cough, cough, Padres Twitter.
Yeah. Let's talk about Padres Twitter. I don't think we've really gotten into them, right? But they've
Oh,
definitely inserted themselves into the conversation, mainly
yes.
not because of anything they've done, but because of the roster that the team's built. And now they're in our lives. those people. All I want to say is like act like you've been there before, but I mean, in all fairness, they haven't really been there before, right? I mean, these guys were celebrating in the streets after a wild card, berth or winning when they won I don't know,
Yeah, they won that wild card series.
which is like a make believe series, right?
Yeah.
um, and then got their asses handed to them in the next series by the Dodgers in a 3-game sweep. Here's the thing. I would not have gone on Twitter and did not go on Twitter and talk all kinds of shit to, let's say, Cardinals fans post 2013 and 2014, right? Saying that the Dodgers are going to be better, all this stuff like that. I'm sure there was a few run-ins back then, but not in the way that Padres Twitter is doing it right now to the Dodger fans. I just don't think they understand how hard it is to win a World Series. I just don't. Right? They haven't gotten there in what, like 20
98,
years,
97 or
Yeah,
whatever.
it was when they lost to the Yankees.
Right. Swept again.
Yeah, common theme. And man, like they didn't even like they got swept in the division series. Who knows what? Let's say they get through the division series this year, they still got to play the NLCS. Let's say they get through the NLCS, like the World Series. Like there's so many things that can go wrong, and they couldn't even win a National League Division Series game last year. Like I don't know, man. But it seems like a lot of punk kids. I mean, that's really what it is, and maybe they were formerly, Chargers Twitter. I don't know what they used to do because they certainly weren't around like 3-4 years ago.
Right.
And all of a sudden they are. So, if that's the case, you know what, guys, just take your football team back. Nobody wants them here anyway, right? You guys can have them.
Never did. Yeah. Yeah.
But no, does that constitute as a fan base? Hardly, man. I think they forgot real quick what it looks like when the Dodgers play in San Diego.
Yeah. Last season helped them forget that.
Yeah.
But, well, I mean, and what's an honest split? I mean, I'm what is it, 70-30 is being fair?
With Dodger fans to Dodgers fans at Petco?
Right.
It honestly seems like about 70-30. I don't know. It could be 60-40. It's sure as hell is more Dodger fans than Padres.
It's more, yeah, for sure.
But
and so until you can get that in your favor,
yeah, they just have so much ground to make up. So much, so much. Like from being fans, First of all, show up to your team's ball games, right? And then we could talk. I think.
Right. Yeah. It's just, there just seems to be such an inferiority complex there. You know what I'm saying? And understandably so. But I mean, I didn't get that as much with like Diamondbacks fans. The Diamondbacks were relevant for the last several seasons before, let's say, the last two or whatever.
Right.
Or even the Rockies. We went to a game 163 with them, a couple seasons ago.
Rockies Twitter is probably like the most pleasant that I've.
Well, their actual team Twitter account is pretty cool.
But I think that like sets the tone for the rest of the base because like I haven't really had any issues with Rockies fans. As far as the D-backs go, I mean, there's a few lames, I guess. But
we had that one guy that was like part of the city government.
Yeah, he was like a. What was he? Oh man, I forget.
I
He was.
want
I
to say
want to say he
city
might have been like
council.
a no. He might have been like a representative of like
Oh,
just that
a state
district.
rep or something.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, and he was popping off and saying all kinds of stuff. And I had asked him to come on the show too, but I mean, that didn't happen because after that, the D-backs were never really relevant again.
After Matt Kemp, yeah.
Yeah, so that was fun, but yeah, Padres fans. I mean, just I don't know, man. Honestly, show up to your team's games first. If you guys want advice on how to do it, like we're more than willing to, show you guys how to be fans, and how to have a fan base, right? How to pull it together. But you can't let another team fans outnumber you in your own stadium. That's a no, man. There's enough of you in that city to muster up a few thousand people to go to a baseball game. So, so I think you get a few bandwagoners there next time. We'll see.
Yeah, the bandwagon is probably growing. So
yeah.
Well, a former rival. Well, I mean, the only real rival in the division brings us to our next question, and it's from our friend Jeff Snyder, obviously Uncle Jeff, as we like to call him, at Snydog on Twitter, and he's part of the was it Locked On Dodgers podcast with our buddy Vince. And so he says, if you could guarantee that the Dodgers win the next 4 World Series, think about that. That's significant because 4 would put us at 11, so that we overtake the Giants. What is it? Yankees, and then Cardinals are right there, double digits, I believe.
Yeah, it goes Yankees, Cardinals, and then yeah.
So if you could guarantee that the Dodgers would win the next 4 World Series, but in order to do so, they have to replace their entire roster with the roster of the 2012 Giants, would you do it?
So as long as Aubrey Huff wasn't that year, he was 2010, right? No, I'm just kidding. He was 2010. That's when I remember. That's when he bunted in the World Series.
Yes.
Well, look. In theory, my answer would honestly be yes, because there's 4 World Series, 4 World Series titles, and why else do I watch? I want to watch the Dodgers win, right? But the whole knowing that they're going to win the next 4 takes all the fun out of it for me, right? At that point, you're watching WWE if you know that your team's going to win, right? Or you're just an Astros fan. So it's one of those two things. So if you knowing, I think the question asked that way, I would say no, just because we can't know who's going to win. All the fun is not knowing. But if the question was worded in a way where it was like, hey, you're guaranteed not to win a World Series for the rest of Mookie Betts' contract. Guaranteed, it's not going to happen, right? But there is some percentage chance that if you replace the Dodgers roster with Giants roster, then you could win. Doesn't mean you will, but you could win. Then I would do it. I would. Because just like knowing that you're going to win a World Series takes all the fun of it, knowing you're not going to win a World Series will take the fun out of it too. So, but yeah.
Chance.
There's no attachment to a player that's strong enough for me that that's bigger than the chance to win a World Series.
Yes.
It just doesn't. That's why we watch,
The old adage is you root for the name on the front of the jersey, not the back, right?
Yep.
So does that also apply to hate? You hate the name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back?
I think that makes a lot of sense, yeah.
But Hunter Pence in a Dodger jersey, I mean, Angel Pagan,
Madison Bumgarner. I know.
But I will say this, and by the way, Aubrey Huff was on the 2012 roster. But Guillermo Mota, seen him win a World Series in Dodger blue? I mean,
all right. I'm trying to remember who those were. I know Tim Lincecum was like a possibility he was going to be a Dodger at one point because he was being scouted.
Yeah.
Make a comeback.
Brian Wilson did become a Dodger. Sergio
did become a Dodger.
Did become a Dodger.
Yep. Eugenio Velez became a Dodger. You know, so
Now,
we
now,
guys.
what? But the thing is this: I can't see. Well, I mean, Dave Roberts, would he use Jeremy Affeldt? You know, the same way? Would he use Javier Lopez the same way?
One hitter, one and done.
Yes, that Bruce Bochy always did. I don't know.
Bruce Bochy bounced at the perfect time before they put in the three
The
batter
three
rule.
batter. Right.
They should call it the Bruce Bochy rule.
You know who was also on the 2012 team for a cup of coffee with the Giants was Brad Penny.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, there you go. It's familiar faces, man.
Come on, Jeff. You don't want Brad Penny to hoist that trophy
in a Dodger uniform? Man, was that the Marco Scutaro here?
I don't know. I don't think
Brandon
so.
Bell. Yeah, I don't know. But look, if it means the Dodgers win, I guess, yeah, let's do it. Right.
More trophies in the trophy case at Dodger Stadium. By the way, I'll be there on Friday for like 6 hours or something.
Really?
I'm helping with some. I don't even know what I'm doing, to be honest with you. I'm just providing labor.
He just missed the stadium.
No. So I took a job with a company that works with the Dodgers Foundation.
Nice.
It's a coaching
wow.
organization, and
Wow.
so they just needed extra hands to be there to help with moving stuff or whatever.
Gotcha.
I don't know what, but yes. As soon as the email went out, I think I was the first one to reply to it. So
right.
That'll be cool.
Got you. All right. Yeah, thanks for the question, Jeff. I would, I guess do it. Even though knowing anything makes it the WWE or an Astros game. I guess more so if it was worded the other way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way. The better spin, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, we only have one other mailbag question. Somebody replied to the Instagram side, and it's Life of Brian 88. Is that somebody you know?
Yeah, Brian Escobar, buddy.
Okay, cool. So Brian asks, top 3 beers.
You want to answer that, Frank? Root beer, ginger beer,
Yeah.
beer battered fish and chips.
Yes, beer battered fish and chips
beer
are
cheese.
great. Beer cheese is really, it adds to a burger.
Or some pretzels. Yeah, okay, so I mean, y'all know I love beer. You guys know. Right now I'm actually not even drinking beer. I'm drinking some Bullet bourbon. Low carb, low calorie option. But cheers. But my 3 beers. Look, I love beer and I could drink beer all day, every single day, and I'd be a happy man. But I'm not too much of a craft beer guy. Like, it's not that to say, like, I do like going to breweries, trying new stuff or whatever. But if I'm going to the store, I'm going with what I go with. And I think pound for pound, I'm a huge just Mexican beer guy, right? I have a lot of pride in, my motherland and the fact that we make some of the best beer in the world, right? And I think the number one exported beer in the world, I think, is Corona, even though that's probably my least favorite Mexican beer. But Corona Familiar, on the other hand, is a different. But I think pound for pound, my favorite beer is going to be Victoria. Mexican beer, but like a full-bodied, like just has so much flavor to it. But it's still a slammer, right? Like it's a beer that you can just kind of just drink all day, right? And to me, that's the type of beer I like to drink. So I'm gonna go with that one as number 1. That's Victoria. My number 2 beer, like I said, there are specific beers that I've had that are probably better, but I'm just gonna go with the 3 best, like, widely distributed beers. And honestly, man, 805. To me, there's absolutely nothing wrong with 805, right? Um, Now I know somebody's gonna be like, well, if you try the blonde ale at this brewery and blah blah blah, blah it's gonna be a lot better if you go, somewhere, off the whatever 15 freeway and like it's a brewery. Like no, like
Temecula.
yeah, sure, yeah, give me that beer and I'll like it too. But there's something to be said that a brewery that you know kind of goes big can still make a good beer, right? Because a lot of times they sacrifice quality to be able to distribute um, just to a bigger base. So I'm gonna go with that as number two. Um, God, this is where it gets hard. Number three.
Yeah, I actually remember the first time we ever met was at some, I don't know, some sports bar or whatever. We were
Yeah, that
talking,
was
and
when was that? Where was it? El
it
Segundo
was,
or something like
yeah, yeah. And I remember I had never heard of that. And
that?
you ordered an 805.
Really?
But when
Okay.
you said it, to me, the only significance that those three numbers represent is an area code, right?
Yeah, that's like Central California, right?
Oh no, well, it's like Ventura County.
Yeah. It's up there.
So I thought you might have been giving the person your phone number or something.
Ah,
I was like,
damn, off the cuff right away.
okay, it's like
Like, hey, don't you? Anyways,
so
yeah,
number three.
they do brew in like yeah, somewhere up there, like above Ventura County. That's like where the Firestone Brewery is, so that's why it's called 805.
Mm.
Look, this one's a very specific beer because my third beer is going to be Corona Familiar, but not just any Corona Familiar. It has to be out of a Kawama, right? Do you know what a Kawama is?
Yeah, I think you explained that to me last time you had your birthday party,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Yeah, a Kawama is a 32-ounce glass bottle, right? The big ones. And there's, the different beers have different names for them, but the Kawama is known to be the Corona Familiar one. That's kind of like the OG one too. Um, and I don't know how much differently they brew the Familiar to the regular Corona Extra, Corona Light, or whatever. But to me, that's what Corona's supposed to taste like, right? My theory is, and it's probably way off, but my theory is that it's the same exact beer as Corona, but the only thing is that they put it in a dark bottle. So as it gets, distributed, it, doesn't get affected by the sun, right? Makes sense a little bit, maybe not. But because Corona just has that like skunky taste to it, and really anything in a clear glass bottle does. But I connect that to, you know, I don't know. I would okay. I back in the days when I used to have Sundays off, good times. Um, I would play Sunday leagues in the morning and um, 8 o'clock games, right? After going out partying all Saturday night, waking up early, go to a game, playing ball, and then picking up some food on the way home and picking up a kawama and pigging out, drinking a kawama and just taking the best nap of my life. Like, um, that's what I related to. Um, Back when it wouldn't affect my weight. Um, Back when I was a little bit younger. But yeah, a couple years back for a birthday party, I had a kawama party. So like that's all everybody was drinking was kawamas. Like everybody had the big ones. Um, and it was just kind of cool to just see everybody looking around, everybody's drinking those big ass beers. And we just had we had a body count. Yeah, like every time somebody would finish one, they would put it up like on the ledge, like where like against the wall. And we just had it lined up all the way, like pretty much one entire side of the house, which is pretty fun. Um, so yeah, I mean, I like to equate those drinks, or I like to correlate those drinks to memories, and Akawama, it holds a special place in my heart. Um, I'm probably gonna get so much shit for my three choices, and I understand that because there is no right answer when someone asks you what are your three best beers, pound for pound flavor, and just versatility. It's Victoria, in my opinion. Like that's the best because um, if you were to not show anybody the bottle and you pour that into a glass and hand it to somebody, everybody would love it. That's just how it is. Um, you know, some people like to discredit beers because it's just a Mexican beer, whatever. Dude, people, if you take that beer to you know Germany, people would love that beer. Um, so I don't know, but I would say those three. I don't know. Those are my three favorite. Are they the best tasting? The three, probably not, but those aren't my three favorite beers.
All right, now I know.
If it ever gets bad enough, Frank, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, man. So thanks for the question there, Brian. Brian Escobar. Speaking of beer, we'll have to have a beer soon, Brian. Um, once all this stuff's over. I got my first round of my vaccine today, so my arm is pretty much dead. My left arm. So
Oh, the right arm was already dead.
yeah. So that's it. I'm useless, dude. I can't pick up anything around the house. Sorry, I can't clean anything around the house today. Um, but yeah, I did the Cal State LA site. It's pretty good, man. I mean, it's super. Like, I got in there. It was with an appointment, obviously, but I was in and out within 30 minutes. I mean, and that's including the 15-minute time that they make you stay after you take it to make sure you don't pass out. But the National Guard was running that one, so everything was in order, and I don't know.
So what's like the priority list now? Like,
it's in that next tier, so it's like I'm grouped in as a food worker. I'm grouped in with like teachers, and I want to say anybody over 60. I think that's, I don't know. Like, don't take my word for this. I don't want to get sued, but I know for sure I'm grouped in with teachers. Yeah, the next age group down, I'll say. And there's a few other ones in there too, but I just forget what exactly it is. But yeah, man. I mean, it's not what this podcast is about, but I would encourage people just to get it. I've talked my fair share shit about vaccinations, and they're offering me a way out now, and it would be a super hypocritical of me not to take it. So I'm taking it, and telling my team to do the same. And obviously everybody's entitled to their own decisions, but I just really want shit to be normal, man. That's really what it comes down to. I want us to be able to do, I guess we could if we wanted to, I guess, but a face-to-face podcast soon. That'd be fun. So, but yeah, I don't know how far down on the priority list your occupation is. Probably next, I would think.
I don't know. I'm probably on the group to opt out of that. So
yeah,
personally, but we'll see. I know my boss mentioned something about things potentially getting back to normal. At least he was just spitballing, but he's like, oh, maybe once the entire office is vaccinated, they'll let everyone back in or something like that. So I don't know if that will eventually come down the pike as a requirement.
Yeah, that's a different story.
So we'll see.
Yeah. I don't think they could do that, can they?
I don't know. I mean,
but yeah, so I mean, we'll, I think restaurants, I'm hearing rumors, and rumors are just rumors, but I'm hearing 25% capacity inside is coming soon. I don't know how soon that really is, but I mean, hopefully, I'm just craving normalcy, man. I guess Dodger related is Gavin Newsom is in talks with major league teams as far as allowing fans at games, and it's looking like a possibility. It's not a sure thing, but I mean, are you going to spend $8,000 on an opening day ticket, Frank?
Yeah, that's the problem. Is like my friends keep sending me stuff like, dude, we might be able to go to opening day. I'm like, you might be able to go opening day, but I mean, you're talking like playoff ticket prices, at best.
Yeah. The only thing for me that kind of makes it like worth it would just to see like any type of like World Series ceremony, just because there hasn't been any of that, but just as far as just any other opening day, like, nah. But oh, by the way, release the gold jerseys already, Dodgers. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, what's the holdup on that?
I decided, this is news, I'm gonna break my rule.
Oh, someone younger than you.
I'll get a Julio Urias gold pipe.
If there's one to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, your rule comes with the stipulation, doesn't
it? Yeah. So I'll wear it with some white pants.
Yeah.
And I just really, I mean, I think, yeah, it was just a bad take by me, I guess. I'll wear it, whatever. I think, honestly, that take was in defense of another take that I had when I was trying to prove a point. So I kind of was speaking out of my ass, but I did prove the point got proven, by the way.
Yeah.
Um, but, but yeah, anyways, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. If they better do it though. If they don't, they clearly don't want my money. So, yeah. Are you gonna go to spring training? I know you take trips out to like Arizona, right?
Yeah, family there. We're talking about it, planning it, maybe for my daughter's birthday, which is next week.
Nice.
So we're trying to just figure it out. The ticket prices is still pretty high, but
yeah,
we'll see. I'm thinking we go out there anyway, and then just day of,
if you find something good.
Yeah, just do something like that or whatever, or just go try and hang around the ballpark, or I don't know.
Yeah, I know that they're doing allowing people to do way less than usual, like
Right.
the workouts and stuff. They're not really open to the public, which it helps that, I mean, for you have family out there, so there's like a reason to be out there anyway, which is cool. For me, it wouldn't make all that so much sense to go. Although Texas is going buck wild and opening everything up full capacity, no mask, right?
So if there's somewhere to go, right?
And I know the Dodgers play in Texas this year, so might be a trip worth looking into there. Yeah, man, there's options, I guess. So I don't know. I hope everybody's safe out there, and I hope everybody's doing well. And anything to add, Frank?
No, I think we're good. It's a good one.
All right, cool. We'll stop with the rambling, I guess. So we appreciate you guys, and thank you for listening again to season 4, episode 6 of the Let's Be Frank podcast. You can follow me at Baseball Frank. You can follow my co-host Frank at 2BFrankM. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Oh yeah, so down here, I created like a little thing where like our names are going to be there. So, follow down here and there. On Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube. We're gonna do a giveaway when we get to 100 subscribers, and we're slowly climbing up there. So yeah, thanks for the support. And what else? Do we have anything else to add there? No. All right. Cool. Let's get out of here then. Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. So we'll post this. It's going to be Clayton Kershaw's start. Next week we'll cover Clayton Kershaw's first start. And, some more rambling. So anyways, we're the Franks. You're the franchise. We'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.